The first question type that was there was obviously jumble sentences. The pattern is concerned for the clerk exam. Usually it is a story based, so it's easy to follow. And then you can easily identify the topic sentence because you have one day or once upon a time, or right. So obviously we know that the topic sentence is E with one day in the picture, right? So that's one. So Lisa walked to the front of a house and was surprised to see a big orange truck on the streets. So from the given word or keyword from the topic sentence is what? The orange truck, right? That's what is introduced. So the next connecting sequence which gives more information about is A. The big orange truck was playing music and had bells that chimed repeatedly, right? E, A, and then in that context, again the keyword or highlighting word is about bells. Music was playing and bells that chimed repeatedly, right? There was music and there was bells. So bells also create some sort of a music. So what's expanding on that? The highlighting thing in A is about the bells, which is creating a lot of music and it's chiming repeatedly, which means D would be the appropriate sequence where it says several people were attracted by the bells. They walked up to it and they were speaking to a man who stood inside it. So EAD, right? So this is the pretext of that. So after that, we see that the only options left is B and C. So when Lisa approached the truck, so this is a situation that's happening, but when Lisa approached the truck, the man inside it said, "Here you go, young lady, enjoy your ice cream and sandwich," EADB, and then the last option. She was amazed. Why was she amazed? Because it struck her that, this was such a good idea, a brilliant idea, where it's good customer service. Don't wait for customers to come to you, go out and find them. Yeah? So EADBC. Okay, so let's move on. So obviously, if you got the sequence right, which of the following should be the second? It was A, so 1. Which of the following should be the first? That was E. So 3. Which of the following should be the fourth? That was B. Which of the following should be the third sentence was D, and the last sentence, fifth sentence was C. Yeah? Okay, let's move on to the next sequence. So I'm assuming this was not a challenging question, was jumble sentence, right? The first thing is A, B, C, D. Okay, there are 5 sentences, right? And like I said, when it comes to the clerk pattern, sequence or the way it starts, the topic sentence is pretty easy to find. So one of the first things that we know is clue words like once upon a time or one day, and we have that clue word in D, right? One evening. So obviously we know that's our topic sentence, D, right? So one evening when Mia had gone down to the cellar, she happened to look up at the ceiling and saw a mallet, a kind of wooden hammer stuck in one of the beams. So in this topic sentence, what's the key word? What's the highlighting word? What is being introduced here? Mallet, right? It's explained there. What's a mallet? It's a kind of a wooden hammer stuck in one of the beams. So then we'll have to look at which is a sentence which is probably, giving more information about that, or it's expanding on that, it's talking about it, right? Which is that sequence. It must have been there for a long time. So obviously I know that it is referring to the mallet, right? So which means so far correct. Now in that B context, what's the other highlighting word in B? It must have been there for a long time, but somehow she had never noticed it before and she began thinking. So what's the key phrase in B, the second sentence? See, when I say key word, key phrase, highlighting word, I'm talking about, have they introduced something or is there some particular action being described, right? What is the word thinking? That's my keyword, obviously. So I need to look at the next flow which talks about, okay, what did she think about, right? And that is explained in A. It says, she thought it was very dangerous to have that mallet there and started talking to herself. So obviously, A also is correct. So again, in that A, what's the highlighting action? Talking, right? Talking to herself. So where is that explained? In E. She said, so she's talking to herself, suppose I was to be married and have a son and he was to grow up to be a man and come down into the cellar like I'm doing now, and the mallet was to fall on his head and kill him, what a dreadful thing it would be. Right? So she's finished talking to herself. So the only remaining context or sentence is C. saying all this, so she said all this, again saying is another clue word for you, right? She threw her tool, sat herself down and began crying. So pretty easy sequence. Jumble sentence, there will always be a logical connect to the next sentence. For a question pattern like this, I would expect everybody to get more than 25 easily, right? But I understand some of you have challenges, it's okay. Some of you have challenges with time, some of you have challenges with not understanding the context, whatever it is. So, most of you have got the sequence right, but for those of you who did not know why this sentence has to connect with the next sentence, we've gone ahead and looked at key words and key phrases which have helped us logically connect to the next sequence. So, our sequence is DBAEC. If you got this sequence, it is correct. Yeah, let's answer the questions that follow because we got the sequence right. So, which of the following should be the last sentence? We know the last sentence is C. So, obviously, it will be, 3. Should be the first sentence. We know first sentence is D. 4. Which of the following? The third sentence we said is A. So, it has to be 1. Which of the following? Second sentence is B. So, 2. Which of the following? The fourth sentence is E. 4. Right? Jumble sentence. What is the query? How above order is concluded? Why AC can't be the starting sentence? So, which means from the query, I know that AC is not the, A is not the topic sentence. So, let's look at it. So, I have A, with the passage of time, the media have lost luster. Okay. Until recently, it looked as if the media, C, a series of media scandals. Okay. B, A, E, C, D, F. Okay. So, this is the sequence. Now it makes sense. How above order is concluded by A, C can't be starting sentence. Okay. Great. Now it makes more sense. This question I would say is very, very tricky. I'll tell you why. Because some of these passages are taken from a larger context. Right? So, when it's taken from a larger context, it depends on the author's tone and it depends on what direction the author wants to convey the main message or theme. So, I really can't answer this question directly, but we'll look at the sequence and we'll try to form logical connections, right? That's what we can do. So, there could be a preceding sentence to this, we don't know. What is the larger context? Now, when I say, let's look at A, you're saying why can't A be the starting sentence? So, A starts with the passage of time, the media have lost luster. Okay. So, which means, is there a sentence in the context which is now this is the sentence is giving me a negative meaning, right? About media. And you need to pay attention to this phrase with the passage of time, which means, is media portrayed in a different light from what is given in option A in any of the sentence? Which is that sentence? Right? Which sentence? Is there a sentence with the passage of time, meaning over time this is what has happened? So, is there a sentence that is talking about media maybe in a completely different light? Can you identify that sentence? B. Yes, very good, Kuldeep. Right? So, until recently it looked as if the media had convinced the public that journalists were more reliable than the government. However, this may be changing. Right? And that change is brought about in A with the passage of time. So, the reason why A probably can't be the topic sentence is only because of that. Right? There is another sentence that is introduced media in a different light, and then it also brings in a contrast in the sentence itself. This may be changing. So, what has changed and how has it changed? It answers, A is answer, media have lost luster. Okay. So, we have that. And then you say, C has to follow A. But the sequence says after A, it's E. Why is it E? Let's look at E. E says, they having grown large and powerful. Let's just look at that. Let's not even read the entire sentence. Now, this they is referring to what? At least in A, I have the media. Right? But if I go by what you're saying, Richasu, you're saying C has to follow A and not E. If I take C, it says a series of media scandals has contributed to this. Which means, right? So this they definitely can't refer to media scandals, right? They having grown large and powerful. How can they refer to the media scandals? The only thing that has grown large and powerful is the media itself, not the scandals, not the series of scandals, right? So they provoke the same public skepticism that other large institutions in the society do. So that's why C can't follow A and I have to have E, because where will I fit E otherwise? Exactly. So they refers to media. I need E after A. So there we go. So we have the topic sentence, positive light of media. This may be changing. That's another clue phrase for us. With the passage of time, how has it changed? The media has lost luster. Have lost luster, A. And then I have not C but E, because they are growing large and powerful. They're provoking the same public skepticism that other large institutions in the society do. How are they doing it? Given in C, a series of media scandals has contributed to this. Why public are being skeptical about the media? Why is the public? So when you ask questions also, you can logically connect the sentences, right? So why is the public skeptical about media? Because of the scandals. The scandals have contributed to this public skepticism, right? That's another clue word for you. So BAEC, and then I have DNF. Let's quickly look at that. Many Americans have concluded that the media are no more credible than the government, and public opinion surveys reflect much ambivalence about the press. So, and then it finishes off with F. While leaks are generally defended by media officials on the grounds of the public's right to know, in reality they are part of the Washington public power game. So basically F answers this, right? So D says many Americans have concluded the media are no more credible than the government, and public opinion surveys reflect much ambivalence. What's the meaning of ambivalence? Uncertainty. They are indecisive about the press. So the public has become, skepticism means disbelieving, right? So the public opinion has become very indecisive, uncertain about the press. They no longer trust the press or the media. And why is that? Because while leaks are generally defended by media officials on the grounds of public's right to know, in reality, so the public has somehow understood or figured out that the drama that the press or the media puts is only to deceive the public, right? It's actually a part of some power game, some political power game. Anyway, so this is the sequence. But to answer your question specifically, Richashu, means why AC can't be starting sentence, we've understood that, right? And why this is the sequence. Ambi as a prefix can mean both, which in this context is only talking about, right? They're neither here nor there, right? So both ways, they're not swinging both ways. That's also a meaning that you can come up with. Uncertain, indecisive. So neither here nor there, right? Both ways they are kind of uncertain or unclear.